Alright, here's our video on the law of exponents, part 3. So let's look at repeated multiplication with variables for a minute. So here we have x times n. So really this is just x to the third power times n to the third power. And what would the answer here be? Well, we can't keep the base because they're different bases. So you have to multiply the bases. So this will be just xn, because you're multiplying. Remember, that's multiplication. And you keep the exponents if they're the same. So it'll be xn to the third power. What would this be? If I had xx times xxx, what would that answer be? Okay, well, it's x squared times x to the third power, which is just x to the fifth power. They have the same base. So again, just to review on multiplication, remember, with multiplication you add the exponents. So if you had the same base, you're going to keep the base and add the exponents. Okay, now if you had the same base and the same exponents, you still keep the base and add the exponents. So the only time you're going to keep, the exponents is when you have different bases. So if you had 2 squared times 3 squared, they have different bases here. So it'll be 6 squared. If you want to prove if that's right, well, what's 2 squared? Well, it's 4. And what's 3 squared? Well, it's 9. 9 times 4 is 36. And what's 6 squared? 36. So there you have it. Now with division, you don't add the exponents, you subtract. So it's the same rules, but just subtract. So if you saw, let's say 2 to the third power over 2 to the third power, what do you think that answer would be? Right? You have the same exponent in the base, so it's 2, and 3 minus 3 is 0. 2 to the 0 power. And we should know by now anything to the 0 power is 1. By the way, if you have the same number in the numerator and the denominator, you know it's 1. So again, with multiplication you're adding, and division you're subtracting. What would this answer be? What if you had 15 to the third power divided by 15 to the negative 5 power? What would that answer be? Same base, right? So we're going to bring this over. We have the same base, so it's 15. Now this is 3 minus 5. Right? So it's bring it up here, 3 minus 5. So remember, keep change. That's 15 to the 8th power. By the way, there's no rules for adding and subtracting. If you had something like 2 squared plus 2 squared, you just have to figure out what each one is. You can't, there's no shortcut rules for that, for adding and subtracting. No rules. Now the other thing is power to a power. What does that mean, a power to a power? Sometimes you'll see something like this. 2 squared raised to the second power. So here's the important thing to know. Anytime you have a power to a power, you multiply the exponents. So this will be 2 to the 4th power. Okay? So again, anytime you have a power to a power, multiply. So what would this answer be? What if you had 3 to the second power to the negative third power, raised to the negative third power? What would that answer be? What do you think? 3 to the negative 6th power. Okay, so anyway, let's erase this. Lost my eraser again. Just to make sure we know 3 to, let's say 3 to the negative 5 power. Just to make sure we know when we have a negative exponent, it becomes a fraction and the negative becomes positive. Just remember that. So let's do one more. Erase this. What if I had 20 to the third power raised to the 9th power? What would that answer be? An exponential form. 20 to the 27th power. An enormously large number. And by the way, sometimes you can see multiplication and division together. Sometimes you'll see, let's say, here's a number, 144 to the 3rd power times 144 to the 7th power divided by 144 to the 5th power times 144 to the negative 9th power. I just threw in these numbers here. It looks complicated, but you can do one at a time. You can do the top with multiplication, the bottom multiplication, and so forth. Remember, this is division. Anytime you see a fraction, it is division. So let's do the top first. I'll move that over a little. They have the same base. Actually, let me bring that up. They have the same base. So on top here, it's the same base, and it's 3 plus 7. That'll be to the 10th power. And the bottom has the same base, so it'll be 144. Now this is 5 plus negative 9, which is negative 4. Now we're not done yet. Now we're in the division part. And they have the same base, so we know it's going to be 144. And this is a 10 minus minus 4, which you know will add into 14. So that would be the answer. So that's the law of exponents, part 3. Great job.